Bio dad left me to dog sit while he took new family out. I found in stepmom's room and called the cops. So my mom died when I was only 3 and since then my dad has been taking care of me. Initially he was too busy with me being a handful and his job to even think about dating, but when I turned 13 I told him to start taking some personal time as I was more than capable of looking after myself. Actually it was something a friend of mine said when her sister was leaving for university and she was feeling like she'll be alone. That's what got me thinking, and I didn't want my dad to be all alone when it's time for me to live. So he did what I asked of him and stepped in the dating field again. Now I'm almost 18 and in my last year of high school. After a few years of dating, my dad decided that my stepmom is the one he wants to live with and got married. As for me, I liked her and was glad that she treated me as a friend or a teenager that's not stupid instead of bossing me around like she's my real mom. I've heard stories about how evil stepmoms could be, but thankfully she wasn't like any of them. Now I also have a step-sibling who's turning 2 this year, and today my dad went out with his new family. He did ask me if I'd like to come, but I had no intention of going and interfering in their family time. I know they don't think of me as a stranger, but I can't shake off the feeling that I'm still not blood related to 2 of the people I live with, and that makes me uncomfortable sometimes. As I refused to go out with my dad, he put me on dog sitting duty and I had to take care of our 2 Labradors and the last 2 puppies that are yet to be adopted. So that's what I did. Around 7 p.m. I gave them food to eat and changed their water. Then I sat down to get on with my assignments. Because it was my senior year I was swamped with studies and my schedule has left me no time to relax. I could barely fit a few hours of sleep, especially after my AP bio teacher told me I'm falling behind in his subject and my recent grades have fallen to a B. I'm trying to score up on extracurricular, but as I want to try for medical school I needed straight A's. So when I was all alone just studying I accidentally fell asleep. I must have dozed off for about 20 minutes, but when I woke up I checked where the dogs were. The old ones were just resting in the living room, but I couldn't see the puppies. I wasn't hearing any barks either, so I went around the house to look for them. As they are easily able to fit anywhere, I had to carefully check under and inside stuff. I found one of them trying to get into the washing machine, but he wasn't able to open the door, so he was failing. The other one was nowhere on the ground floor, so I went up to check in the bedrooms. When I entered my mom's bedroom I heard a rustling noise and checked inside her cupboard that was slightly open. The puppy was nuzzling inside a small leather bag, a little bigger than a fanny pack. I've never seen him so fixated on anything. He wasn't even trying to chew it. He was just nuzzling it, trying to get it to open. That looked suspicious, so I opened the bag and what I saw shocked me. There was no way I wouldn't know what it was as a high school student. I've seen these things before during after parties of a football game or around exam times. There were packets of but that wasn't the concerning part for me because it's legal in some places. The concerning part was the clearly illegal ecstasy tablets and something else that might have been Adderall. It was hard to misidentify that triangular tablet with an X mark. The more bewildering part was the mix of light blue tablet with Stardust written on them and the fish market tablet. It was clear that these were acquired from different sources because no way someone is getting 10 different brands from the same dealer. After I got over the initial shock of finding the I quickly closed the fanny pack and took the puppies out before they could eat it. I closed my mom's room and went downstairs. The older dogs must have sensed the panic in me because they started acting alert around me. I was thinking, what should I do, because not in a million would I have thought my mom used. And that was about a couple $1,000 sitting in her closet. I thought about how my dad must not know about it because he would never allow such stuff in his house where his daughter in senior year of high school is staying. So I did the only thing I could think of. I called the cops. I don't know if my stepmom is a dealer or she's just keeping the stash for someone else, but that was no small amount of substance I saw, and in no way was I going to let her get away with it only to get my dad in trouble in the future. The cops came by pretty quickly and they asked me a couple of questions. Once I gave my statement, they waited for my dad and stepmom to come home. As soon as my stepmom came home, they arrested her. It was pure chaos as they explained what was happening and my dad tried to interfere. I was brave when I called the cops, but when I saw my dad I chickened out and hid in the kitchen. Once the cops had taken my stepmom away to the station, my dad came running in and asked me what happened. There was no point in lying, so I told him the truth and he just stared at me. He said I should have talked to him first before taking such a big step. He said we could have talked to my stepmom and she must have an explanation for it because he had been living with her for over 2 years as a husband and hasn't seen her under the influence even once. When he was done scolding me, I came back to my room. Now that I think about the whole thing, I feel like I shouldn't have acted so recklessly. I should have given her the benefit of the doubt. Am I really an asshole, and should I have taken a different approach? Would you have reacted differently if you were in my place? Update 1. So for the last 2 weeks my dad and I, both of us, have been suspects because my mom was refusing to confess where she got the from and kept saying it's not hers. The cops were trying to find out whether she's been dealing or just buying but haven't found anything yet. They've told me and my dad that we are not to go anywhere outside the city, and obviously we're not gonna run away when we haven't done anything. More importantly, my little baby brother, who barely understands anything, has been carefree and just keeps playing with the dogs while I've been losing sleep because of how frightened I am. I really hope that either my stepmom confesses or they find some proof that she is the one those belong to. And because of all this, I am also regretting being so stupid to call the cops right away when I didn't have any proof. I should have acted a little bit smarter. Maybe getting a confession or something on the phone from my stepmom would have been a way to go. The one thing I'm thankful for is that no one in school has found out about what's been happening. Something like this is sure to be reported on the news, but I guess the cops are keeping it quiet until they find something. Either way, my school life has been the only thing that's familiar to me now. At home, my dad doesn't talk to me and only calls me out for dinner or to tell me that he's going out. My stepmom isn't even allowed to leave the house because she's the main suspect, so she stays shut in her room. It feels like we're all just waiting for the other shoe to drop or something like that. Update 2. Finally, I can take a deep breath. Yesterday the cops took my stepmom under arrest because they finally found some proof against her. I don't know what it is, and frankly I don't care because I'm not under any scrutiny anymore. I know I sound like an entitled, selfish person right now, but you can't understand the constant stress I've been living under for the past month unless you go through the same situation. My dad, who was refusing to believe that my stepmom could be a drug dealer, is now in shock and keeps spacing out. At least he forgot to be angry at me anymore. The cops said that the trial for her case would begin soon and I'll have to be a witness because I'm the person who found it in her cupboard. It's a good thing that my stepmom and my dad don't share the same closet because that might have complicated the matters a lot. I don't know what's going to happen now, but I'll be sure to update here once things calm down more. Update 3. I know it's been a long time since I updated, but I have been away from all social media for a while. After my stepmom's trial, the news broke out in public, and even though not all the details were mentioned, some people who knew us personally figured out that she was my stepmom. So I've been staying away for almost half a year now. My high school graduation is completed and somehow I survived the last few months. Now that I'm just waiting to hear back from the med schools I applied to so I can escape this place permanently. My stepmom's trial was finished a few months back and she was charged with misdemeanor for possession and intent of selling. Her sentence was 9 years in prison and she was also charged a $14,000 fine. After her conviction, my dad filed for divorce and it's still being processed. He talked to me about our current situation and he's thinking of moving to some other place after the divorce so that both him and my kid brother could have a fresh start, and because I'll be living in a dorm, I agreed with him. This is probably my last update here because I want to put this whole thing behind me and move on with my life. I also wanted to thank the people who wrote words of comfort on my previous posts because it really helped me not to fall into a depressive state. I had a bunch of shit happen and I feel like I'm going crazy. I, 28 male, have 3 siblings, 2 younger sisters, 27 and 25, and 1 younger brother, 24. We are really tight with our 3 cousins, ages 21 and 27. Our parents are together but have recently retired down in Florida. My aunt and uncle moved down there with them. So we've always done big family get-togethers with our cousins and extended family. As the oldest I've hosted since our parents moved, all my siblings and cousins are in the area still. My wife Caroline, 26, was best friends with my youngest sister Beth, 25, and that's how we met. My wife has always been part of the family and insisted we be the host for things as we just got our new house. So now to the issue at hand here. Beth had been married for 2 years. We all really liked him. Especially my brother. I found this all out recently, so bear with me. Beth came to my wife and told her she was having an affair. My wife told her to come clean, but Beth didn't right away. I didn't notice tension between them then, but now realize it. Beth did come clean but trickle-truthed it. It was a in our family whenever her husband sent the proof to my brother, and my brother blew up our family GC calling her a skank. My wife has since stopped being friends with Beth. It's just been a lot of drama. I'm supposed to host Thanksgiving this year and we are already making the plans. My wife doesn't want Beth invited and neither does my brother and his wife. My sister wants her there still and has said as much to me. My cousins are indifferent. Basically saying as the host it's my call. My parents are going nuts though. I already had preliminary talks with them about what is the plan going forward. Here is where I am. I don't want my sister around. My wife and brother still hate her. Everyone else seems okay with having her around. My parents are saying I can't just remove her from the family. I said if they don't like it then she can just visit them for the holiday or host it in Florida. This wouldn't happen though due to small kids and money. My uncle and aunt are backing my parents. Beth is apparently in therapy over everything, according to her FB post. So I feel like I'm being an a-hole, but I also don't really have any other option. It's my wife's house too. Am I the a-hole? When my fiancé and I first got engaged, my mom, my dad, and my fiancé's parents all offered to help pay for the wedding. As we talked about the kind of wedding we wanted, it became clear neither my fiancé or I are very interested in a huge traditional wedding in a church with a reception in a fancy venue. We're both more comfortable with the idea of a nice little relaxed ceremony somewhere beautiful and intimate, which obviously has the added bonus of being cheaper. My dad and my fiancé's parents are completely happy with this, but my mom is very opposed to the idea. She keeps trying to convince me that I'll regret it, that if we go with a small wedding it won't be special and we might as well just get married in a courthouse. I'm her only child and she's upset she will never get the experience of seeing her kid get married in a big beautiful traditional wedding. This argument has been going on for a while and has come up in basically every conversation I've had with my mom for 2 weeks. Eventually I told her that the only way we'll agree to a big traditional wedding is if she agrees to be responsible for paying for the entire wedding. She can't really afford that, so I figured that would shut the idea down. She said she already agreed to help pay for it and that the money from her, my dad, and my fiancé's family would pay for the wedding, but I insisted that since she is the only person who wants us to have that kind of wedding, she would need to be the one to pay for it. All of it. Now my mom is really upset and I'm worried I went too far. Am I the a-hole?